Hello, hello, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you. This is White Chair Talk, and as promised, I said from time to time, I will have a special guest on my show. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to have my wonderful, handsome husband here with me. And why? Why would he be here with me today? What is this? What is this weekend that we're celebrating?
Memorial Day, so it's got to be a special occasion for me to
A
be with you.
special occasion. And I use celebrating lightly because, people got to be sensitive to that word. But Memorial Day is a federal holiday where we honor and we
Remember,
remember the men and women of the armed forces who have served and have died in the line of duty while they were serving. So I'm trying to make sure that I say that the right way. While serving their country, yes. So for today, sometimes, like I said, I use the word celebrating. It just depends on who you are, what you call celebrating, and celebrating someone's life and celebrating someone's memory and the time that they did have on this earth. Later on, I'm going to discuss on what that means to me, but for my husband, he's going to explain or just tell a little bit about what Memorial Day means to him.
okay, so Memorial Day is bittersweet for a lot of people, but especially people who serve, because we know what it means. So bitter meaning, I know a bunch of my fallen comrades that didn't come back from Iraq or Afghanistan, and they gave the ultimate sacrifice. Those of us that were blessed to make it out and not die or have or whatever have you, and that are here to celebrate with their be here with their family, it is a that's a sweet thing. So we gotta honor their life, because they gave the ultimate sacrifice. We sacrifice. I mean, I sacrificed, other service members sacrificed, but not like that. And especially their families, who some people don't have a father, don't have a mother that's in their life because they went out there, served their country, and gave the ultimate sacrifice on this day. A lot of people think, oh, it's just another day off. But for me, I'll just speak for me. For me, it's not just another day off. It is a solemn reminder of freedom is not free. And so when we send people across the way to fight for the country, there's a big price to pay. You're dealing with people who you may not come back. Death is imminent on both sides. There's no glory in it at all. I mean, but it's got to be done from time to time. And unfortunately, I wish it was never done. I wish, having gone, nobody ever has to go, because this is the result. You got people today, on Memorial Day, that will be remembering their loved one that gave the ultimate sacrifice over there. And then you'll have people like me. I'll be remembering the folks that I lost as well. So, but I am grateful to be here. Glad that God blessed me to see these days, and that I'm here. And that's what I think about Memorial Day.
Thank you so much. That was really good, especially when you said the sacrifice that, they paid the ultimate sacrifice, but you're still being here, still you sacrificed even throughout your career as a United States Marine for 30 years. You still sacrifice even though some people paid the ultimate sacrifice. So it's still a sacrifice even though, you are still here with us. So and I'm very grateful and very thankful that you are here. So is there anything else that you'd like to add or you'd like to say?
Right. God bless all those Gold Star families. And if you don't know what a Gold Star family is, it's somebody that has, a family that has lost somebody in the line, fighting for their country. And that's why we call them a Gold Star family, because I mean, that's the ultimate family. They gave their father, son, brother, whatever it is, and supported their route to whatever they had going on, whatever conflict, and they didn't come back. So today, I'm sure that they are, celebrating the life of their loved one. And everybody's human. You celebrate, but you also remember them, and you wish they were here.
Yeah,
So I don't take it lightly.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But y'all have fun. I don't want to make this a downer, because it is a celebration. It is a celebration of those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, so that we could do what we can do, so that America can be America, United States could be it is. So, but with that, I'll leave y'all to it. So, All right, love all
Yes,
y'all. Love you.
love you.
Mwah. All right.
He's got to go eat dinner. And can you call Misty because Misty? Yes. Okay, so that was, I thank him for coming. He was a little reluctant because it's a, like you said, bittersweet, time and for him. And so it's like a more somber holiday than like a more celebratory holiday. But so it's bittersweet for him because he is very closely related to it. And like I said, he had lost someone that, and so for whatever reason it happens, it's very humbling. So as for me, my experience, because at first I was thinking, most people probably don't even know what Memorial Day is. Today I was out at the store and I saw several people, out shopping and buying different outfits because they were going to, celebrate at someone's house, having a big cookout. I was hearing the chatter about, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to have this party. We're going to have this. We're going to do this. And I thought, I wonder if I asked them, what does Memorial Day mean? Would they even know? Would they even know? And sadly, probably not a lot. They just think it's a holiday, something to do with that or something to do with the military. I don't know. But man, for the people that it directly affects, I can imagine that it is, like I said, for some people, it's a joyous day because they remember the life and the time that they had with their loved one. But then there, for some people, maybe they were never able to, you know, get some remains or get closure. So it's different for everyone that has experiences, I'm sure. I'm certainly grateful that my husband is still here with me, being that he served in the military or in the Marine Corps for 30 years. He went and fought in Iraq during the beginning when everything was of the shock and awe in 2003. So I thought, what do I have to say? Why would I even say something about Memorial Day? I don't really directly know someone who died. I know some people who were wounded, but I don't know someone who directly died, which is why we call it memorial. We kind of honor people who have passed on, or the armed forces who have, men and women who have passed on while serving for their country. So, and then I thought about it a little bit deeper, and I thought, I do have a recollection of that time, or that would have affected me. Thank God, like I said, my husband is here. He's alive and well, and I'm thankful for that. But I remember I was pregnant. I've been a military spouse for over 30 years. And so I remember, wow, I thought I was pregnant and I had twins. I was pregnant with my daughters, Misty and Gayla. And I was probably, I think I was 6 months pregnant, and I had to be put on bed rest. And right when I found out I had to be put on bed rest, that's when, probably shortly after that, my husband had to go off to war in Iraq. And I don't know what I was thinking. It's almost fuzzy to me, but there are some things that I vividly remember. Like, I don't remember the exact order of things. I just know that I was had me put on bed rest, and then shortly after that, he had to leave. It was sad. I remember crying. It was, like I said, I was almost in disbelief, like, wow, I really at that point realized that I'm really second. Like, I'm really not even first. I mean, of course, God is first, but I mean, as far as when it came to this world, like, that's my husband. We're pregnant. We're about to have twins. Like, what do you mean he has to leave? He hasn't even, I want him to see the birth. What if something happens? All these questions come up that are important. But those questions didn't kind of come up until after he was gone. Like, it was a blur to me. I remembered him leaving, but that was kind of the last thing, when my son was about 7 years old, and he both were just crying, and we kind of held on to each other during that time. So it wasn't until after he was gone where I realized, wow, how important that I am not when it comes to the government controlling what he does and where he goes and what happens. So he was. I remember when there was a time when he thought, just in case, like, he had to get in his mind, I may not come home. he had to put in his head that I may not come home. Me, as a believer, I didn't even want to think about him not coming home. But unfortunately, it was a possibility, a strong possibility, because of the tensions that were going on. And so he said, you know what I'm going to do? He says, I may not ever see my daughters. So what I'm going to do, my unborn daughters, I may not even see them. He said, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to record myself. So he went into the baby room that I had for them, and he sat in a rocking chair and he set up a camcorder. And he was in there for about maybe 20 minutes or so. I never heard what he said. I ran to the front of the house. I didn't want to hear what he was going to say because I just didn't want to believe. I wanted to believe he was coming home. So I didn't even want to hear anything he had to say about, him never. He left a video for them and probably for my son as well, and for my oldest daughter as well, just saying goodbye and just saying some of his thoughts just in case he didn't come home. He had to face that reality. I think that's for a service member to do that. I think that is the most, because I don't think there's a real preparation for that mentally, that the military provides. I think they just tell you what's going to happen. They kind of shoot it to you straight. What's going to happen? This is where we're going. This is what we have to do. They may have programs where you can talk to someone. I'm not going to say they don't have programs. I'm just saying it wasn't something that I remember my husband doing. It was just he had to mentally collect those thoughts and say, okay, this is happening and this is what I have to do. And this is where we are right now. And I remember, like I said, he made the video. He gave it to me. He came out of the room. I was checking to see if he was okay. He gave it to me, and I don't even remember at this moment, to this day. I have never watched the video. I have never seen it since that day. I have no idea because I had made up in my mind that you are coming home. I don't know. I just could visualize it. I said, you're just going to come home. I don't know when and I don't know, what time, but you will be here. You will be back. But he would never just I don't know how he did it. I don't know how you prepare your mind for something like that. But I can guarantee you that that part of him was tucked away and put it inside of a nice container and sealed. Because once, again, I have never done it, but just hearing the stories and hearing things that he has said to me throughout the years, once you go over there and you see the scarcities and you see the things happening, it's imminent. You don't have room for all this emotion and all these things, especially him being an officer, and being in charge of Marines and giving direction. Uh, there was no, you have your Marines afraid, but guess what? You as a leader can't be afraid. So again, I'm going to tell my story. So my story, I'm just saying I can't imagine that. So when he left and he was actually gone, I mean, there were days where my son would come home from school and he was just like, just lean against the door and just cry. He would just drop his bag, lean back against the door and cry for his dad. And then I remember, like I said, it was a blur, but I do remember this one specific thing. This was before smartphones. Well, I didn't have one. They might have just been starting to come out with a smartphone. I didn't have one. The internet was just getting going good. But the main news you would see, how I could keep up with it, because of course he couldn't call me. So the main way I could keep up with it was watching the news. And so I would watch the news. I would sit down. I remember I was pregnant and there would be names going across the screen. And I was a part of the Officers' Wives Club. So, they were very supportive during that time. And I had wonderful neighbors and who always checked in on me. It was great. I had a great system, and I'll never forget them, and they know who they are. But I would see names go across the screen. I don't know, for the life of me, like I'm saying to myself, why are they showing people who have died going across the, like, as people were dying, not just say people, as service members were losing their lives and dying, they would flash names across the screen. So now I'm not just listening to the news, I'm literally watching. And then I remember one day I saw a name go across the screen, which was the same name as my husband's name. It wasn't the last name, but the first name. So I'm like, why would they show that? I said, to see that your loved one passed away just by a flash on the screen. I thought that was insane, but it kept you glued to the TV, and they changed it after that. After that, it was, if you had a service member come to your house, there was a detail, but I don't remember what it's called, but I'm not saying the funeral detail, but there was a detail that came to your house. If your loved one died, there was somebody to come to your house, and there was going to be a knock at your door. And because we had meetings a lot, like I said, I was a member of the Officers Wives Club, and I remember, chatter, and I remember a woman, it happened to her. It was like, did you hear that so and so, they knocked on her door and it was horrible? I'm like, that I said, that's horrible. I said, if anyone ever came to my door, knocking on the door, saying something, I'm not answering. That was just my mindset. So I had to be, there were times when I cried, but I had to be strong because, like I said, on bed rest, I'm still having to go to my appointments. I remember sitting, trying to drive, and my stomach had gotten so big at one point that literally I couldn't even sit straight in the car. I had to like turn sideways because my stomach would hit like the steering wheel. Like, it was crazy. And then, my son, I had to start letting him ride his bike to school because I couldn't drive him to school. Um, so it was just crazy. But I think because I had to be strong for my husband, I stuck by the phone to any time he would call. I wanted to make sure I answered that phone. So I mean, I remember it was just mentally like an exhausting time because, but if I talk about it anymore, like, it'll bring me to tears. But I'm great because I remember the emotion that I had at that time, like I said, and the struggle that, watching my son go through. And so yeah, it was just tough. But at the end of the day, he came home. And so I'm very grateful and I'm thankful for that. And I didn't want him to go back, but of course, 10 months later, he went back again. He went right, but it not even 10 months later. I think it was about 7 months later, he went back again for 10 months. So he didn't he winded up seeing the we sent pictures, and it was so nice that his Marine friends, they did like a baby shower for him. Basically all he had was baby wipes, and they kind of made like a stork, and they made something really cute for him. But he said it really still didn't seem real to him because they were on a picture, and I sent him this picture, and he was like, because he had never seen them before, and he's like, wow. Like, he said, it just didn't compute. And I can imagine when you think that at any time you could not be here, something goes off and boom, I can imagine, like I said, those emotions. He had to take them, put them in this nice box, and say, not now, not now, and I don't know when, because he had to stay focused to stay alive. He had to stay focused, to stay alive, and his troops alive just the same way. So he had to stay focused, and I did everything in my power to make sure that there was peace in my home. So if my husband ever called, there was no problems. Everybody's good. I don't care if it wasn't, everybody's good. So yeah, so that's just my recollection of, during time. And I'm sure there are so many other wars and incidences where we're honoring, people that have passed on. But I'm just saying that's my understanding of, like I said, Memorial Day could have meant completely different things to me during that time. So, like I said, he saw them when they were 3 months old, and he went back, and so wound up he missed the walking, he missed all of those things. But like I said, I wasn't mad at anybody. I was just thankful he came home. Like, we sacrificed him not seeing his children being born. I think out of the four children that we have, he's only seen one being born, and that is my son. But so here we are today, a Memorial Day weekend, and many people are, like I said, celebrating. There's some people taking flowers to graves. They're watching memorial services on TV, and as I said, some people are celebrating. You know, some people get offended if you say Happy Memorial Day, you know. But like I said, you kind of look at it both ways. Some people may want to celebrate life. And they may want to have cookout and say, we're having a cookout in honor of our loved one because they loved this. And, we just want to celebrate and don't, so we're not sad. But like I said, it just depends. So I just wanted to bring some light on today of Memorial Day because a lot of people, like I said, probably don't really know what it means. So I just wanted to say those things. I just wanted to share my story. My husband shared his story. We don't want to be here long. I want you to remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, White Chair Talk. I'll be having different content every week. So, and I'll try to stick with the holidays. I try to stay in, with the times, what's going on. And I might just say something, but I just wanted to, this was just a special podcast today because I wanted to honor and recognize fallen soldiers on fallen armed services on Memorial Day weekend. I just don't want to say that lightly. A fun fact, well, I didn't know about Memorial Day. I don't know the year, but I found out that it wasn't always called Memorial Day. It was called Decoration Day. Decoration Day, I'm not mistaken, it's called Decoration Day because what they did, they decorated the grave sites with flowers. So it was called Decoration Day. And not every state celebrated or honored Memorial Day. And that's another podcast. But because of the Union soldiers that died, some of the southern states decided they didn't want to celebrate Memorial Day. But I think after World War One, everybody came together and decided this is something that's good. So anyway, those are some little fun facts I learned just by doing a little bit of research. So, like I said, like, share, and subscribe. And I want you to be the best version of yourself that you can be always. And I'll see you next time. Bye.